My sister called me lazy because I want to have a part-time job even though I don't have a baby, but she was livid with my response. I have been working for a bank as a processor for the last 10 years. I could never decide what I wanted to do when I was younger, and instead of going to college, I decided to work and gain experience for maybe a year or so until I could make my mind up before returning to higher education. But I got too used to making money and never did. Fast forward 10 years and I've come to the conclusion that what I would like to do is write books full-time. I have been writing and self-publishing for a few years now. My husband was promoted almost 2 years ago now and is literally doing his dream job. Recently he took me aside and said he knew I wasn't happy in my job, and it was hurting him to see. He suggested that instead of working a 40-hour week, I reduce my hours and maybe do 25 instead, as we can easily afford it. I was completely over the moon at the suggestion, and agreed. Work was also happy to accommodate due to my length of service. My sister, on the other hand, was not so happy about my decision. My sister and her husband both work full-time hours and have 2 young children. My sister has accused me of being lazy and saying that I shouldn't be taking less hours unless I have children, in order to do something that's just a hobby. She says that even she has to work full-time in order to raise her children, and that me not feeling like working isn't an excuse to sit around the house and do nothing all day, while my husband is out making money. I've told her that I've worked nonstop since I was 18 years old and now finally know what I want to do with my life, which got me the response that if I took more initiative to find out before now, I could have been doing what I love professionally for years instead of just starting out. I basically told my sister that while I could sympathize with the fact she has a lot on her plate, it's not my fault that she has children and I don't. At this point she raged at me, saying I'm clearly too irresponsible to understand the sacrifice and dedication it takes to have one child, never mind two, and that if I want to be a part-time worker and write silly love stories then I can go do that. I've spoken to my parents, and while they don't think I'm in the wrong, they say I should be more understanding of why me and my husband being in a better financial position is a sore spot. Update: I received a call from my sister's husband about an hour ago. He said that he'd noticed my sister had been off for a few days but wouldn't tell him what was wrong, but finally caved today. He made it clear on the phone call that he doesn't agree one bit with what my sister said to me, and that he's told her she needs to apologize for being cruel and judgmental over what was supposed to be good news in my life. He didn't elaborate but hinted that there was more to why my sister reacted the way she did, and that he'd come over tomorrow with my sister so we can talk. Update: my sister and her husband came today as promised. It didn't take a genius to see that my sister wasn't doing too well. She normally takes pride in her appearance and how she dresses, while I'm usually the one to prioritize sleep over putting on a full face of makeup. But when she turned up this morning she looked as if she hadn't slept in days. She had no makeup on and she was just wearing some loungewear. She immediately apologized as soon as she walked into the living room and hugged me before I could say anything. I hugged her back, because she's my little sister and no matter what, I love her to death. It also occurred to me that it felt as if she's lost a ton of weight, and while she's always been slim, this worried me a bit, and any residual annoyance I might have felt dwindled quite quickly. As it turns out, my nephew, her eldest son, has been diagnosed with autism and has been having some major behavioral problems as of late. He's always been a rambunctious kid and prone to a tantrum, but I put this down to him being a child and didn't think too much of it. Apparently he's been having huge meltdowns at nursery school, leading to him being violent with other kids and members of staff, and it's led to my sister having to leave early from work on very short notice and has had to call in sick several times when he's in a bad way. Due to this, she's been called into a disciplinary meeting which might lead to a formal hearing, and it's really worrying her. Her husband is there for her, of course, but he works a job where he needs to drive hours away at a time, so isn't always at home in the mornings when things are at their worst. She acknowledges that her behavior was totally uncalled for, but that hearing about me being in a position to be able to cut my hours when she's worrying about even having a job in a couple of weeks really triggered her, and that she's been on medication for her mood for several weeks now as it is. I told her that of course I understood how her position could be stressful and upsetting, but if she had trusted me with this info and confided in me as a sister, of course I would have been there for her in any way I could have. Her husband cut in at this point and assured me that they were both incredibly grateful for every time I and my own husband had helped them out over the years, and he didn't want this to be something that caused our families to drift apart. Overall, I'm not mad anymore, and I know that deep down my sister is happy for me. She's just in an uncertain situation right now and it got the best of her.